Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the top floor of BCMP headquarters, as high as you can get on the net. I'm Marijuana Man, and this is From Under the Influence, along with my good buddy Al, the Alchemist, as
How's it going,
always.
peoples?
Glad he's in the house today. And we're also joined over here on camera, too, by none other than... surprise, it's Marius.
Hey, everyone.
Jeremiah's caught in traffic again. He says, I don't know, caught in traffic. But,
Let's hope he actually hasn't been caught in traffic.
yeah. Marius will look after the chat for us today. Glad all you folks could be joining us. See a bunch of friends out there and hopefully some new folks too. Tokyo Grower, are you really from Tokyo?
Wicked.
Let us know. We got some questions for you. So, beyond smoking weed today, we're going to be talking a little bit about, of course, the nonsense of them passing this crime bill here in Canada. And,
It's getting scary.
It's getting very scary. I hope the police aren't too interested in playing along.
I don't know. I think the VPD is a little bit cooler than that.
Yeah, we're hoping for not a lot of trouble out of this, but I got a feeling they're going to test the waters here and want to see if they can start filling their prisons and getting some new ones built around the provinces. But, where in the hell was everybody? I don't get it. All these people are coming out against it now, and against it when there was no chance that it wasn't going to pass. This is bullshit, folks. Like, these politicians... And I urge you to continue to write to them and now tell them that you're a fucking slug. Well, no. Okay, we'll rewind. You shouldn't call them that. But, they're not keeping up their end here. And let them know that they could have come out and fought against this before it had a chance, and they could have stood up against it while they were all running for office. But, I don't know. It's very infuriating.
It really is. It's like the first step to the whole complete Big Brother takeover.
Yeah,
And we're a really valuable commodity in the prison system because we're an easy target. We're not violent. We're everywhere in all walks of life. So we're an easy target and a huge commodity. Fast turnover. Get those guys in there. Year, 2 years, year, 2 years.
Yeah.
Each time that's 80 grand, 160 grand, 80 grand, 160 grand. Think about the numbers.
In future, I don't want to be known as bread and butter. I'm tired of being that for these clowns. Now, I had a thought the other day about Obama and his refusal to comment about Mark Emery's pardon. I thought, wow, Mark Emery has shut up the President of the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is fucking... That's pretty heavy that this man is afraid to speak about him. So, Mark, you've made an impression, and now you're down there in the belly of the beast. And I don't know. I think
give it indigestion, brother.
got indigestion.
Yeah.
That's right. So good on you, Mark, to at least play that role. Obama, you suck for not having the balls to even step up on something like that. Really, come on. Even the whole marijuana question. You got to see, folks, that obviously it's the choir that I'm speaking to here, but spread the word about how stupid these politicians are. Here in Canada, we have 50% of the adult population requesting that marijuana be legalized, and the guy who could do that says no. You go, well, but nobody says why not. Without letting him get away with some stupid little quip about drugs aren't illegal because they're candy.
No.
They're illegal because they're not alcohol. That's why drugs are illegal, because they're not alcohol.
Well, it's way harder to standardize cannabis than it is to standardize alcohol. So So in their minds, just the costs of standardizing such a product, it's just not cost efficient for them at this point.
Oh no. Like
So-
it's totally insane. Here you've got politicians that look at our society, and they have a drug that's legal called alcohol. And now in this province alone, it kills 2,000 people a year. So they go, okay, well, even the taxes that we get from the sales of the alcohol does not cover.
No, it still puts us like $4 billion in debt every
the
year.
devastation that it causes. We pay to have people die. This is fucking insane, and that any politician sitting in any position would continue with something like this. They would think that this would be a good thing to do. Like, come on, they've never ever once asked for a rollback in the amount of alcohol you can get or where you can get it. Blah, blah, blah. There is no, they'll come out at Christmas time with their road check.
Well, that's just another thing. It's like, hey, let's give these guys a bunch of shit, and then we'll fuck them up over it too. So it's a win-win. They get to tax them and they get to ticket them. So they must love those seasons.
And still we run a deficit. Alcohol ain't paying for itself.
Mm-mm.
So anytime there's been a hint of increasing the price of alcohol, oh God, there's just such an outcry and complete ignoring of that. But here's something interesting I found out yesterday about it. Liquor store, you go in there to buy a beer or a cooler, one of the low alcohol ones, 4% alcohol. They're twice the price of the highest percentage of alcohol, beer and cooler.
Isn't that amazing, eh?
Yeah, twice the price. So
Pulling
like
off some sweet swag for way more.
yeah, you don't want alcohol, you're gonna pay. You
Yeah,
pay
well, that's,
extra for that. Like how telling is this? But I don't know. Mandatory minimums. These wicked men and women that are doing this will. I don't know. They'll get theirs someday, hopefully. However that goes. Like, I don't know, if Stephen Harper, he claims to be a Christian and believe in all that stuff, well, that boy's going to hell.
Oh,
He
yeah.
is going to be roasted by Satan
Oh, yeah.
for eternity, the way this guy goes. So how does he figure? I think that's all a scam, too, that he says that. These men today they're just so dishonest.
Well, I think to be a Mason, you have to choose a denomination. So, he just picked whatever one was the most popular.
So, in view of the mandatories around here, anyway, here's a mandatory I'd like you to have a look at.
So I don't drink, I don't do drugs anymore. I used to take drugs and I quit, but I'll tell you something, I have nothing against drugs whatsoever. That's kind of weird, huh? You never heard that one? Used to take drugs, quit, and have nothing against them. Wow, never heard that. Let's hear more. Okay. I'll tell you something else. I know this is not a very popular idea. You don't hear it very often anymore, but it's the truth. I have taken drugs before, and I had a real good time. Sorry. Didn't murder anybody, didn't rob anybody, didn't rape anybody, didn't beat anybody, didn't lose one fucking job. Laughed my ass off and went about my day. Sorry. Now, where's my commercial? Shit, I'll be the guy holding that skillet in that commercial, man. That ain't a brain, that's breakfast. Let's eat. What have we been up, 5 days now? I'm fucking starving. I find that commercial a tad insulting to my intelligence. You know the one, here's your brain. I've seen a lot of things on drugs, but I have never, ever, ever looked at an egg and thought it was a fucking brain, not once. I have seen UFOs split the sky like a sheet, but I have never looked at an egg and thought it was a fucking brain, not once. I have had 7 balls of light come off of a UFO, lead me onto their ship, explain to me telepathically that we are all one and there's no such thing as death. But I've never looked at an egg and thought it was a fucking brain. Now, maybe I wasn't getting good shit, but that's what I hate about the war on drugs. I'll be honest with you. It's what I can't stand is all day long we see those commercials. Here's your brain on drugs. Just say no. Why do you think they call it dope? And then the next commercial is this buzz for you. Come on, everybody. Let's be hypocritical bastards. It's okay to drink your drug. We meant those other drugs. Those untaxed drugs. Those are the ones that are bad for you. Nicotine, alcohol, good drugs. Coincidentally, tax drugs. Ooh, how does this fucking work? Thank God they're taxing alcohol, man. It means we got those good roads we can get fucked up and drive on. Thank God they're taxing this shit, man. We'd be doing donuts in a wheat field right now. Thank God we're on a highway. Woo! This is a good drug. Because I'll tell you something, I'll be honest, man. If I were going to legalize a drug, it sure wouldn't have been alcohol. Sorry, there's better drugs and better drugs for you. That's a fact. You may stop your internal dialogue. But Bill, alcohol's an acceptable form. Shut the fuck up. You're wrong. Okay? Okay. Shit, man. Not only do I think marijuana should be legalized, I think it should be mandatory. I'm a hardliner. Think about it, man. You get in traffic behind somebody. Shut up and smoke that. It's the law. Oh, sorry, I was taking life seriously. Oh, man, who's hungry? That'd be a nice world, wouldn't it? Quiet, mellow, hungry, high people everywhere. Just Domino's pizza trucks passing each other. Every single highway, parades of Domino's. Let them get stuck in traffic. All our pizzas will be free. I'm a fucking dreamer, man. But I'm not the only one. Dreamers, man. Pot is a better drug than alcohol. Fact. Fact. Stop your internal dialogue. But Bill, alcohol's a... Shut up! You're wrong. Get over it. Okay? Okay. I'll prove it to you, man. You're at a ball game or a concert and someone's really violent and aggressive and obnoxious. Are they drunk or are they smoking pot? Which is it? They're drunk. I have never seen people on pot get in a fight because it is fucking impossible. Hey, buddy. Hey, what? Hey, hey. End of argument. End of argument.
Well, there you go. A little Bill Hicks in the house. The late, great Bill Hicks. That was extremely funny, I found.
I have to agree.
He's got a lot of stuff out there about marijuana, and if you've not heard of him before and looked, you should go look, because the boy speaks the truth in a very funny manner. Now, another reason why I played that, beyond the fact that I thought it was really funny, was that in 6 minutes, he encapsulated
He covers everything.
marijuana prohibition and the whole issue just about completely. So I thought go out there and look for that. It's called mandatory marijuana, and it's kind of apropos for what's going on here in Canada. But I don't know. Let's forget about our cares and woes. There's more cares and woes. We'll get back to them in a minute. But let's talk about marijuana. What do we got in the house today?
Rolling up a little bit of Angola Bangi Haze. We've smoked that before. We just finished smoking a Storm Warning.
Now, what's the bongi hate? Bongi of the hate.
Bong. That is the, from what I've been led to believe, a phenotype of the Congolese, and it's a faster flowering pheno of the Congolese. So they put that into the Angola, and I think it was Angola Roja that they crossed.
It was Angola Verde or something too.
Yeah, I don't know if this is the yeah, I'm not sure if it was the Verde or the Roja that they used, but they crossed it with a Bengi, and then I think they took that and crossed it with Haze.
I know it's Verde nice.
It is very nice.
All the way around, but you may recall from the last show that my favorite weed is the Congolese. And
smells.
Where the Congolese came from, I told the person that, and they said, wait till you try the Angola. But, so those two crossed together make a fine combination. I haven't really tried the Angolan yet, but someday, somewhere. So, we're going to be smoking that right away, I think. So, see if we go berserk or something, or...
Well, if you recall the scene in Reefer Madness, where he's playing the piano, where the girl's playing the piano.
You know if they had a piano.
Yeah. That's what I'm anticipating should happen after I smoke this, because it is a African sativa dominant joint.
Don't think we don't have a piano.
It should by 1930s mentality make me crazy.
Yes. I am on the edge of sanity right now. I don't know how I can hold it together.
I specifically did acid so that I could see how much higher this joint would get. So that's the only way you're going to gauge it, is to get just out of your tree already and then see where else it takes you.
It's just a waste of acid.
It's going to be. This is going to cancel it right out.
So let me cut to camera 2, and there, right beside Marius, is Jeremiah's made it through the traffic and the melee out there. So let's see. So come back to these guys. And also in the house, we of course got. We like to call them the house cats, but they're sleeping hard. So maybe they'll wake up. They have a little routine they prepared, but I don't know if they'll get to that.
I don't see the drum kit here though.
So that's them.
Gosh.
We can get keyboards.
I revealed part of the surprise.
We can
Sorry,
get
guys.
a drum kit.
I revealed part of the surprise. I'm sorry, guys.
So. What's going on out there in the chat?
Oh, we have a few questions lined up already, actually.
Woohoo!
Oh, good.
There's one. I'll go in order here. There was a question a little earlier, from somebody about asking us if we thought that C10 would actually pass through in the end. And I told them in the chat that it's expected to pass. May take a little while, but
hasn't passed yet.
It's passed the House of Commons.
I project by February.
It's not Canadian law yet. But in this article here, it's there on the CBC that was published 4 hours ago. It says the Senate is in no rush to pass the omnibus crime bill, and the conservative leading member of the Senate is saying, "Oh, it's going to take a long time. It's not first priority. There's all these other things we want to fuck up first." And,
what?
Yeah.
That means they're going to pass it tonight.
Well, that means it's getting attached. No,
just...
it'll get attached to one of those things that they're going to fuck up.
She said that they expect it to be within the 100 days that the Conservatives originally promised, which could be anywhere up until March.
Yeah, I think by February it'll be legislation.
Wow.
And there's another question back onto a more weedy topic. from closed promotion. So back in the 90s, I used to get some super skunky weed in Washington. You can't find it nowadays. What is the most roadkill skunk strain going around in your area with sativa effects?
Well, that's a lot to ask.
Well,
I remember that weed, though. I lived here then, and if you're talking about Washington State, but at any rate, it was really skunky. And that was some of the first, I don't know, I don't know what that was. It was an indica, Afghani, Northern Light, something like that. They always called it Shiva. I mean, we came to know Shiva as that.
like Shiva Skunk.
Yeah, Shiva
Yeah,
skunk.
I remember Shiva Skunk.
So those were, I think that's what those were.
That was some super stank.
Some of the earliest Dutch stuff that came over.
Not to be confused with Shiva Shanti,
Yeah.
which is not super stank.
But I don't know. I think you could still get that out there. The Shiva skunks.
I don't know
available,
for sure, but I've heard that the BC Roadkill, you can obtain seeds.
422.
Oh, we missed 420 by 2 minutes. We smoked right through it. See, we're going crazy. This
Okay.
stuff is making us nuts.
We're going off the air. We'll be back.
This is
Are we
tragic.
I think you're still on.
So yeah, BC Roadkill is apparently quite skunky, and I think Canacopia has some kind of something else that's roadkill. So look into those strains, or Canacopia is a seed company. Look into that, see what their roadkill is. Just do a Google search on Canacopia roadkill skunk, and see what pops up.
So I suspect that the reception out there is not as smooth as one might like. It. I got a feeling it's kind of choppy and slow, but I don't know. The internet's been weird around here today. It was really slow for me earlier, so I don't know what's going on.
As usual.
I hope you're able to see and hear okay. So what else is going on?
I have another question. What's your favorite slang term for cannabis?
Wow, favorite. They're all code words, so I don't want to say any of them.
That's right.
You know, like weed and Mary Jane and the dope and
What about Lucy's Treehouse?
Lucy's tree. Yeah, it would be. There was a book around. I've seen it trying to list them all. I'm not sure you could, but there was a lot of them around the world. And that would be attributed to the fact that it's illegal. That it would be a code word someday.
Walter was one of my favorites.
Walter.
Salmon, we used to call it salmon. Smoked salmon.
I think we have the book. I don't know if it's the same book you're talking about downstairs, Greg, but it's issued by the government or something, and it has a whole bunch of names that I've never heard of, like ridiculous names for weed. That it's like, where did they get these from?
From their grandma.
Yeah.
No, these guys are so behind the times. Like, even their propaganda pages out there are just so far behind the times when it comes to marijuana. They're still talking about, Mexican and Acapulco gold and shit. This is way back in the 70s, and this is what's on Health Canada's pages.
Hey, if Health Canada has access to Acapulco gold, I'm getting on it. I'm gonna stop growing my own weed, and I'll get from them.
Who do they know? But, I'm prepared to go to jail to fight this shit. But I'll be damned if they'll be that old-fashioned about it.
Yeah, that's
up
archaic.
to date here.
Yeah, that's archaic.
Days and stuff like that too. No, I don't know. It's like it is really like fighting your grandparents with these guys. So where's everybody from out there? I didn't hear
in the
anything.
chat room right now.
What's that?
97 people in the
Nice.
chat room.
We never found out if Tokyo Grower was from Tokyo.
Actually,
No.
he did say he's from Tokyo.
He's from
He
Tokyo?
said he's live from Tokyo.
Right on, Tokyo Grower.
That's pretty cool. What are you growing? Northern Lights. Maybe.
Hope it's not Kush.
London, Ontario, Portland, Oregon, all over Alberta, Powell River.
Yeah.
Earth
Wow,
Okay.
that's a big place.
is the 85th.
Portugal,
Peter.
right on.
Yeah. That's the decrim in Portugal.
Yeah, what's the weed like in Portugal? Portugal's La Prairie. All right, Sativa Boy.
Sativa Roy.
Oh, Sativa Roy, sorry.
Yeah.
I stand corrected.
Clinton, Ontario.
Hello,
Well, there's
Clinton.
people from everywhere. So that's pretty cool. Now, Sweden. So, okay, what do you guys all pay for your weed?
By the what amount?
Curious, though. Like, I'm curious to know how much you might pay out there.
Yeah, what is the market like in Portugal? Hi. Manitoba gold grows his weed.
New Zealand,
Well,
dude.
yeah.
What time of day is it in New Zealand,
68.
Kiwi J?
Oh.
You're up pretty late.
200 an ounce.
200 in
Wow,
Nova
60 and
Scotia.
8th. Where are you?
Yeah, 68 is crazy.
10 euro a gram.
Well, it's all over the map, that's for sure.
Sweden.
300 an ounce over there. Now we lost track of where everybody's from. 100 US a gram in Tokyo?
No.
No.
Wow.
Really?
Wow. No doubt you're a Tokyo grower.
100 bucks a gram. Wow. Lunchtime in Sydney. Oh yeah, there you go. Good on you, mate. Glad to have you in the house. Well, we're hitting 99 viewers. There's somebody just about to wake up. Oh no, somebody left.
We had the Gretzky session for a moment.
I like 99.
Yeah, it's like, go Gretzky.
So with the C10 in the air, would I be at risk buying seeds online at this point in time? It's gravy.
No.
That should be a greater risk when it passes.
Yeah, I do it now. No. No, I don't know how much difference this is going to make if there's going to be an all-out war.
It seems
or
it's created
not.
a bit of a political rift internally.
It has really come out politically. Now, I don't know. This is very encouraging what Jeremiah was saying about the delay, and this ain't going to happen too quick, and everybody's, unless they're trying to trick us, but if that's the reality of it, then maybe something will happen between now and then to make much of that go away. You never know what's going to happen tomorrow. God knows. So, we'll hope for the best, but you can still write to the senators and express your concern and your displeasure of this getting anywhere near being passed, given, and here's the thing to remind the senators, that their very peers recommended 9 years ago that marijuana be legalized. Now, you might ask in your letter, so why now would you want to impose mandatory minimums on people? What has changed? Leave it at that. Let them think about it. Let them know that you know that this is the deal. Now, that I would hope that some human with a conscience might be twinged by this, but at any rate, I think that would be a good idea for Canadians. You guys in New Zealand, don't send a letter. Tokyo, don't send a letter.
I think it's still similar.
Oh, yes.
There's a link there's an article on the front page of Cannabis Culture at just about the top, just under Marijuana Man's post here, called Draconian Crime Bill Passed by Conservative Majority in House of Commons. In that article, there's a link to senators.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You can get all their contact info in one place on the government website. I've linked to that.
Nice.
So there you go. How easy is that? So do it. It's worth it, and maybe if we just get the right number of them to have a conscience and pay attention and get on board, then it can be stopped. It's the way it's supposed to work. It's the way it's supposed to work. You go, huh? Interesting. How quite often it doesn't, though. When you got half the population saying we'd like to legalize marijuana, and not one elected representative standing up and saying, hey, what about what the people are saying? They go, no. And you go, wait a second.
What do you mean?
Yeah. Stephen Harper says, no, never. And you go, wait a second, what do you mean? Well, what happened to us? What are you doing in office if it's not for us? What's up, Steve? So, I don't know.
Working for the States. For Vegas News today, there was a live broadcast on CBC about an hour and a half ago with Harper and Obama together talking about the latest security partnership.
Signing the second phase of the North American Treaty Act.
Exactly, yeah.
Look out, the perimeter is coming.
Integration. They're saying that what's going to happen basically is at the border now, they're going to be tracking everybody's movement. So when you go into the States, you'll be marked down and they'll know exactly who's coming in, who's going. Same with Canada. And they don't do that now. So it'll be a hell of a lot easier for them to track people and find out what's going on with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder who they're tracking though. Like,
it's all about
really?
obtaining information.
I can't.
They're tracking everybody.
There's no way I could have ever gone across the border and not be tracked. Like most people, like I don't know, they take your passport. They know, I don't know how much they can track you beyond that. But these guys have been doing it all.
Well,
they've been doing it all along. All right,
see,
they really have.
With
now they're
RFID,
just telling us this is what happens.
With all the RFID stuff, passports, credit cards, bank cards, new driver's license, all of that kind of stuff. It's not impossible that they're literally going to be tracking people on American soil. When you enter as a foreigner, something you're carrying is going to be emitting a signal, and it's not unfathomable that you're going to be tracked.
Yeah. What's scary to me and what makes it different, I think, in this case, I think of myself when I go down to the United States. When I go down, I never have a problem with U.S. authorities. They're always extremely kind to me, very nice, friendly, smiley. But when I come back to Canada, they don't like me. And I'm in their computer, obviously, because as soon as I pull up to the thing there, I get taken out of the car, get the whole shakedown. They make me pull up my pant legs. Yeah. They're like, who's been smoking marijuana? The whole thing, without even just me handing them my passport, they know immediately. So now, if they exchange information, and the States has that info, I might not be able to go down to the States at all because I'll be in their computer as well.
Well, you're definitely going to be red flagged.
Right.
And they'll just make it difficult. Like, even though, like, if you don't have a record and stuff like that, they can't deny you. But they can just make it a fucking hassle. All right, you come over here. We're going to strip search you.
Yeah.
Now you got to sit here for 18 hours while we make up our mind. And then, like, do you really want to come here next time?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think they know who you are anyway. There's certainly been lots of incidences of people going to the States from here that work here, and they knew who they were just from newspaper articles and shit.
One of the times we went down, I was with a bunch of the staff people here, and they made us wait for 3 hours sitting there while he Googled all of our names and found out everything about us. I saw cannabis culture on his computer and reading through articles and stuff. So, of course, that's how they do it. When you get there, they search everybody out. Who are you exactly?
It's amazing that they choose Google.
Yeah.
Like they don't actually have a database that they can search. They just use Google.
No, they totally do too.
It's like, what the hell?
Yeah, bizarre.
Now, here's a story out of Washington here just a day or so ago. Undercover American narcotics agents have laundered or smuggled millions of dollars in drug proceeds as part of Washington's expanding role in Mexico's fight against drug cartels.
Wow.
Ha! What a statement.
That's clever.
Have laundered or smuggled millions of dollars in drug proceeds as part of Washington's expanding role in Mexico's fight against drug cartels. Here's their expanding role, is that they're
joining the side of the cartels.
They're taking all the money. Okay, well, this is all drug money. You guys shouldn't have that. This is all, we'll take it.
I think they're taking coke and assets, too.
Yeah.
By the sounds of that statement.
I don't know. Yeah. Do you know this story, Jeremiah? Did somebody did they expose this, or have they just come out and said
No, they're announcing this.
Yeah, there you go.
So
that is so
they're
absurd.
saying that they're coming out and saying it was in the New York Times. But it's pretty harsh. It just, I think what it goes to show is how bold they're being now. Like, these stories are getting out to the press, whereas years before, you would never see them. We knew it was happening anyway because there were a few intrepid journalists who were exposing it. They ended up dead, like Gary Webb, who wrote about this exact subject, Dark Alliance, and he ended up shooting himself twice in the back of the head, committing suicide. Literally, that's actually literally the story. Gary Webb, look him up. It's bizarre.
Shot himself in the back of the head.
Shot himself twice in the head, yeah. And twice. I guess he...
Was he bound and on his knees as well?
Well, they don't say that.
Shot himself in the head.
News reports.
Well, he was zip tied.
Okay, now you got to wonder where they got the money from. How did they get their hands on the money to launder it? How do you do that? Did you take it from the cartels in the middle of the night? What the fuck?
I think they made business arrangements where they said, look, give us a percentage of your shit and we'll launder your money for you. And perhaps maybe there's,
No,
maybe they just needed to come out before somebody else came out and accused them of it.
Well, that's exactly what I think too.
Yeah.
They were
forced to play their hand.
It's just getting too hard to cover it up, so they're coming out and saying, "Yeah, we're."
It's part of our operation. This is part of what we're doing. You guys just
interesting.
relax.
Though.
It's going to unfold over the next 75 to 100 years. You just.
Yeah. Well,
it's a long investigation.
You just wait.
It's a really long investigation.
Well, it's bizarre that they can still justify it this way. You know, by they're giving these guys truckloads of guns, which are obviously going to kill innocent people. They're helping them launder millions and millions of dollars. And how do they think? I mean, is that ever going to have a good effect at all? Even if they were able to bust, every member of the cartel at some level, a whole bunch of members of the cartel, is all the sacrifice of all these people's lives and all this stuff? Do they have the right to make that decision? Well, we'll let all these people die innocently, but maybe one day we'll get the bad guys if we do that. I think that's ridiculous. They're playing with people's lives.
They absolutely are, and have been all along. They don't care. They do not care. It's about the money.
It's a business. It's an industry.
That's
right. They get funded to do certain things. So part of the benefits of doing those certain things is making more money, so that it's an ongoing process. Now, if they cure their problem, why do they need to be funded anymore? Right? So it's like, it's a business. It's a whole industry.
And the amount of money that's generated from the drugs is enormous.
Oh.
It's enormous behind the scenes. Nobody knows how much it is, and it's massive amounts of cash. Now, you got to figure, who's more powerful, CIA or drug cartel?
Well,
CIA does whatever. These drug cartels work for them or alongside them. It's not, and the cartels are getting the cut. And now the CIA is not just going to launder all the money openly now.
Yeah.
Wonder what banks they're laundering it in.
Yeah.
Nobody says anything about that.
No,
Like, it's a bunch of horse shit.
Yeah, I wonder why.
We're for as long as it's flashing. Like, if it's flashing, you're good. And it should say recording right next to it.
Wow, where did you guys go? Like, all of a sudden our screen just went blank and there was no chat anymore. And
so we're in the middle of talking about the Brady Bunch.
yeah,
right.
The stuff you missed that happened.
There's some guys. No, there's no guys over here off camera.
Nobody's.
I'm rolling a joint, guys.
The CIA's great. We love the CIA.
Captive in our area.
So I think we got shut down by the man.
They probably have those keyword searches. If they hear the word CIA smuggling drugs in one sentence, it just shuts you down.
And then they take a minute and look at it and go, oh no, it's just from under the influence.
Alright, those guys are high.
It must be Wednesday.
So we were supposed to talk about growing today.
Oh, really?
All right.
I talked about growing all morning.
Yeah.
pH. Learn pH.
pH is very important.
Always.
Well, if anybody does have any grow questions out there, of course, we are prepared to answer them. We'll come to the wrong conclusion with the greatest of confidence of anyone you know.
Yep.
No, I don't know. I was actually looking at a book last night, George Cervantes' Medicinal Bible. Oh, there we have a
We got one
copy
right
of it
here.
right here.
I was
Now,
using it as a textbook today.
this is will tell you everything you need to know about marijuana and stuff that you didn't know you needed to know and didn't
And
need to
stuff you
know
don't really need to know.
because it's this thick. But I found it very interesting.
There's one thing I did disagree with that I read in there, but pretty much everything it's spot on.
Now, if you want to cover growing a plant, now you're going to need a book this thick. Growing a plant indoor, because the possibilities, all the things that a plant goes through in its life, and all the things, and man, oh man, that's a lot. Now, if you're a beginner grower, you will fucking be so lost by the time you go through this that you'll go, I don't get it. Not everyone, of course, but what I've always suggested to people is to get as basic as you can. Now, the reason I brought this up, though, was that there's two things that I think are very important to the success of growing excellent marijuana. And those two things are humidity and ultraviolet light. Now, and I've known for a long time that none of these grow books regard that. Like, humidity in this book I couldn't find it. There was no section on humidity. There was, it just gave you two numbers, and they weren't, they wanted you to be 60% humidity in flowering. But
Well, I don't agree with it, but
it's different.
I know people who exceed that and still get great results.
Yeah.
But what they don't tell you there is that you
There's-
got to have your air exchanging every 20 seconds in your room.
There is I don't know, I think it's a key to this plant because of this, that essentially the difference between an indica and a sativa is because of a humid versus very dry environment that they come from, right? So I'd want to address that in my grow room, given, like, we can't just take these plants out of where they came from and pretend that it wasn't that way, right? Well, it wasn't that way in the Hindu Kush Valley if you're growing an indica, or in Thailand, right? So I'm always surprised that it's not given a little more credence in terms of if you are growing an indica, it could be and should be much lower in flowering than 60. It should be like 20. 20 is better. There's complications with all of this because you're in a closed environment indoor, so you change one thing and something else, it becomes a pretty good environment for spider mites when it's dry.
Yeah, for sure.
They like it, and there's other factors of how different your feed's going to be when it's dry, and the temperatures.
And the plant's ability to transpire as well, because it doesn't have that humidity to battle, so it can off-gas quite readily. Very easy. And when it can off-gas, it can uptake more liquid, right? It's osmotic pressure. That's what happens.
Now, it also causes the bud to be a lot more compact, because that's where it comes from, and that's why it is that way. So the sativa, conversely, needs more humidity in the room. It likes it that way. It somehow thrives from that kind of environment. However, marijuana does pretty good under a fairly wide range of conditions.
Oh yeah,
it's not like you're not going to have success given that you don't do it a certain way, right? But proof to the fact that it is a very hardy plant and responds to a lot of different things. But what's always surprised me is that they've never really hearkened to the area where it comes from in terms of what they think or we would try to recreate. Why wouldn't we want to recreate the environment that it comes from? Because this works okay. Maybe that's just okay, right? Maybe if we And of course, we've never had the luxury to fuck around anyway.
And also knowing exactly what we're growing, where true
it
genetics came from.
Well,
That's a pretty
nowadays-
hard thing to decipher.
They want to see the buds you're smoking.
No way. They're
No.
smoked. We already smoked them. How can we do
And
that?
we have a ton of questions
All right.
too.
All right.
Here, let's.
So Green Supreme started off here.
What's
What?
green at?
Fattest, hugest, strongest strain.
What? What's the biggest, baddest, hugest strain?
Yeah,
That's it?
fastest, hugest, strongest, I believe.
Congolese.
Yeah.
That's what you'll want to grow.
I don't know. I've heard good things about the Foxy Lady phenotype of Super Silver Haze. I heard that upon a commercial feed, a guy was able to produce almost fire hydrant sized nugs. Well, so there you go, GS.
Yeah. Try that.
Thanks for the question, bro.
True that.
He
Yeah.
says he was joking.
Jammers.
Jammers is good too.
Nebula.
Or Jamaican sugar.
Yeah.
You'll want to try that.
Sweet tooth. Sweet tooth. Sweet tooth. Sweet tooth.
Right after that, Tokyo Grower asked, what about just using reverse osmosis water? I guess that's what you guys are talking about.
Well, there's nothing wrong with. That's a good thing to have a nice water to start with. It's very important.
You have to
in-
add something to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if one is sophisticated enough to have a scenario where you get your water to zero, that it doesn't really play a role in anything and you can have it nice and precise. And reverse osmosis is nice if you got it. Never hurts.
Or distilled.
Or distilled.
If you've got access to distilled water and you use that as your neutral starting point, that's great.
So I was thinking about marijuana in a basic terms indoors last night while I was smoking it. In your grow room, you've got a few layers going on, let's say. You've got light, you got air, you got moisture, and then how all that plays together is really what there is. You got those layers going on, and the temperature and the humidity will determine how quickly the plant is able to, along with the light and the CO2, they all combine to determine how much and when this plant will pull food out of however I'm giving it to it. Right?
And it's all based on osmotic pressure. The wider your stomata on the leaf is, the more it can off-gas. The more it can off-gas, the more osmotic pressure increases within the plant, and the more nutrient it can uptake. And if you're in a really stifled environment, a super hot, shitty airflow, humid room, chances are your stomata's not going to be that, willing to open up. And there's not going to be any room for the air to catch any off-gassing, so the plant will just stop. It'll feed slower, all of that stuff.
It's all mushy.
So if you are playing with high humidity, make sure you have impeccable air exchange. Like I know of a guy that adds humidifiers into his room, but he's literally like exchanging that air every 30 seconds. So it doesn't matter how much humidity he's pumping into it. It's still every 30 seconds. It's a fresh batch.
I'm not too sure how that works. Depends on where your air is coming from, I suppose. But like if I was bringing air from outside, and it doesn't really matter how fast I bring it in. Like if I'm sucking air at 60% humidity into the room and pulling it out, does it matter what rate I'm doing that? Wouldn't it?
Well,
just
sure.
be
At your
60%?
exit source, it's going to be lower. I mean, at your entry source, it'll still be 60 degrees humidity. But as it travels through your room, it'll be lower by the time it leaves. If you have a constant flow, like if you don't give it a chance to build up,
Where does that moisture go?
it would be sucked out in the air.
No, but if there's less going out than is coming in,
Well, your plants absorb a certain amount of it for sure.
my plants, I don't know.
through the
My
through,
plant, I've already given it water. But
oh
there's
yeah,
already
but
water in there.
the
That's what it has.
the foliage will absorb a certain amount of moisture at any given moment. Like that's what happens when plants feed through the leaves, right? So I yeah.
Look into it. Look into humidity. And
I know a guy that grows between 60 and 70 percent. He gets really fat, dry buds, big like a jar. They're highly smokable. Not always, actually. Sometimes they're not that smokable, but they're always appealing. And for commercial production, I think it's beneficial. I don't like it personally. I would never put my room above 35%. That's where I keep it. If I can handle lower, I like it between 20 and 30%. And I feed my plants lots of potassium, so their stomata is always wide open.
see, there's something to be said too about hybridization of these two extremes of the cannabis sativa, given those two environments. That if one maybe was talking pure strain, but who knows how crossing the two have changed this plant indoor to respond more to those.
We're all
kinds
smoking
of
and growing
conditions.
mutts primarily. I mean, that's why I feel so blessed when I get to smoke Angola Bangui Haze, because that's directly to the lineage. It hasn't been bastardized. It's landrace to landrace to something that's slightly bastardized.
And makes for a darn nice, strong smoke as a result.
Yeah, I love it, man.
We have a ton of questions coming in.
Cool.
All right, I'll get a bigger truck.
Yeah, I only got a half-ton question truck.
Right, exactly. Well, there was somebody earlier who asked, when you guys were talking about your favorite sativa strains, he said, hey, what about my question about indica favorite strains? But I don't know, and they were answering that Marijuana Man doesn't like indicas.
Well,
I
just know that I don't like them, but and we smoke them all the time. Depends what you got.
This joint's indica dominant. It's pretty good.
I'm not smoking anymore.
It's pretty tasty.
No, that's a preference as opposed to a judgment. There's lots of great indica strains. I don't know. Matanuska Tundra was a very strong one that I always liked. There's a ton of Kushes out there in the world. I tire of those a little bit, but I don't know. There's
some Black Domino we could smoke that's indica dominant.
And there's lots of strains that you don't know, like maybe the flavor's all coming from a sativa a long time ago, or somewhere in the cross, or Black Domino. We got some here. Somebody mentioned that.
Breaking it up right now.
So yeah, I don't know. We're lucky in a way. Prohibition has really exploded the hybridization of this plant. And if you will, it's kind of like tulips a little bit. There's a million different shades and combinations out there that you can grow and enjoy, and they're all quite different, yet in the same family. But much more to be learned about it, that's for sure. And don't know if we've done a lot of damage crossing them all so willy-nilly in the underground. I'm not sure that's really how it goes in the flower world. They may well be paying a little more attention. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that. What do I know about tulips? But
we talk about roses.
We should get an orchid.
Yeah.
An orchid and a tulip dude on the show.
An orchid, yeah.
And compare methods to cannabis growing, and just to see how where it sits.
What they know about orchids, they do grow those indoor. And you need some finesse to do it. Roses, they're a myriad of different. The whole flower world, they've really.
Roses are really similar.
ripped them
It's
apart.
about getting size and
Yeah.
all that deep smells, deep colors.
Thornless. You don't want any thorns on it, or. Yeah, I wonder how they do that. Maybe we get thorns on our pot plants for outdoor.
Wouldn't that be?
Somebody just
The
asked,
rabbits would be pissed off, man.
speaking of outdoor, Big Mick asked, what's the best outdoor strain to grow in the Pacific Northwest?
Are
That depends
Are
on
you
where
force
in
flowering?
the Pacific Northwest. There's two sides of the mountain.
Are you force flowering, or are you just using the season? That's a big difference. Because if you're forest flowering, all of them, you can grow anything. But I would suggest like seawarp is a popular one.
Yes.
Really
that'd be
nice, chunky buds. They smell very sweet, kind of like, you know, a little bit of sweat and mango, kind of. Yeah, really nice.
good. Depends on what side of the mountains you're on in Washington State too.
Yeah,
'Cause,
that's a big one too.
if you're on the east side, you'd have a much longer season, and on this side, you'd be looking at stuff that we grow around here for sure, like time warps and there's others. There's
Yeah, white grizzly.
early wonder skunk is a strain that a lot of people have had great success with, and a guy he's worked it for a very, very long time. It's got some auto flower in it, and it's always finished here by, I don't know, smoking it 1st of September. Always, and it's really nice bud coming out of Colombian and Mexican and ruderalis.
Really?
That, this fellow worked with Solar Warrior. Those are available out there in Seed World. Pretty sure. Vancouver Seed Bank.
Oh, what's the name I'm looking for?
Got a question about seeds. Young Stoner asks, how much are seeds sold for in stores? My dealer sells them for $1 each. Is that a good deal?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty good deal.
Great deal.
Given
that's about 25% of what you'll pay at almost any local distributor.
My dealer, he sells them to you one seed at a time.
Now, is your dealer reputable?
That's fun. I've never heard of that, actually, that a weed dealer is also selling the seeds. That he might get out of the weed, I don't know.
Better do something with the excess seed in there.
Yeah. So, I don't know. You can always grow them and see. You'd have to be careful of hermaphrodites coming out of that, or being prone to that, perhaps. They may well have been produced that way. If it's coming out of a bag of weed, there might have been something going wrong in the grow to cause that. Otherwise, had it been a male,
could be imported as well.
Yeah.
Could be Mexican pod or something like that.
What kind of weed do you get from your dealer?
But yeah, bucket seed is great, assuming the genetics are okay.
Keely J wanted to know if you guys have heard of the strain Death Star.
I have not.
No, haven't heard of that one. Pretty good name, though.
That's a good name. Or
Death, though. I don't know, Death.
Death Star. Hope my weed doesn't kill me. Orgrown says he's in Vancouver this weekend. Any cool new stoner-friendly businesses I should check out?
What?
In Vancouver. Stoner-friendly businesses in Vancouver.
Well,
Culture.
you should certainly come down to the
Come on down to
pot block here in Vancouver.
307 West Hastings.
There's lots going on. Our store's right there. They got tons of Christmas goodies for you guys to stuff stockings, and well, they got even a sale on, I think 25% off sunglass, 10% off everything else in the store right now. They're also, and this is turning into a plug, I suppose, but free shipping anywhere in North America. Yeah, online.
If you're a medical user, stop by the dispensary on Hastings, cannabis dispensary, or stop by the Aletown dispensary.
Yeah, so it's been good to have you guys tuning in.
What about the rest of our questions? Get to them next week, or what?
What do you got?
We still got
Bring
a few.
it.
We got a bunch actually. Brandon wants to know what we could do with 4 plants under the crime bill. Like, he's asking how far 4 plants go.
What do you mean? What kind of trouble you're going to get into if you got 4 plants?
No, I think
how well you can make those 4 plants perform?
Exactly.
Well, if you veg them for a really long time with ample root space, you could probably get a huge yield off of 4 plants. Because, I mean, really, you could put like 4 or 5 lights on that, no problem.
Yes, it does depend on all those things. So depend a little bit on what strain it is too,
I would suggest
how big that'll grow.
you have some sort of relation to medical consumption if you're going to do that under the new crime bill. But have at her. It's your own world.
Yeah. So
the Gold has a question.
What's up?
I don't see you guys puffing butter lots. Are you guys not into it?
I'm anti-butter.
It's unhealthy. All hype. Let's hear it.
Very bad, full of mercaptans, full of heavy metals. It's really hard to access clean butane, clinical research grade butane, 3.8 N-butane or 4.0 N-butane. You got to fill out a lot of paperwork to obtain, and unless you can get that, I wouldn't suggest making butter because you're using some crap that comes from a can. Oh yeah, it's 6 times refined. Yeah, well, if you look at the MSDA sheet and it has anything under smell or flavor, you know for sure it's got mercaptans. Sometimes mercaptans are present in they're always present in small amounts, so sometimes they don't have to list them.
dangerous.
But if it's listed as having a smell present or a flavor present, then you know it's got mercaptans because butane has no smell or flavor. If you have 3.8 or 4.0, it's odorless.
No, me either. I don't like smoking butter.
Sucks.
Like really, how does it improve cannabis? How does it
gets
make
you
it
really
better?
high.
So bubble hash from the same strain won't?
I think it will.
It'll get you just as high because it's not going to have any more THC in it.
There's other things.
It's not
to
that
think about.
it couldn't increase the THC. There's no way.
No.
It is what it is. What it is.
It's another form of concentrate.
Yeah.
That you are taking a massive amount at one time. You better get high. Like really.
Yeah.
I think though if you continue to consume your cannabis at that kind of concentrate, then you continue to need to.
You build up a huge tolerance.
Your tolerance would go up accordingly, and then you would a joint or something else just ain't going to do it anymore. But
Yeah, not a butter fan.
no, I've never been either. There's no point of beyond a dry sift or even bubble hash. I don't think there's any need to pass any other foreign substance across this and then go, okay, let's smoke this. At the rate at which we smoke around here.
If you can get some supercritical extracted resins, that's killer because it's just high pressure CO2. But yeah, stay away from butter.
Young Stoner has a question. Can you get your bud purple by growing in colder conditions?
Yep.
Yes, it is.
Here's one for you,
Is
young
there
stoner.
reactions
When you're doing your flush, spend the money and get an ice maker, and then take distilled water and fill that ice maker up so you know you have clean ice cubes, and just put like 10 or 20 on top of each pod every time your lights come on, and they'll melt into your soil and it'll kind of shock the roots and guaranteed you'll start purpling out. But one thing that'll happen is your weed will get a little cabbagey.
The other side of the coin.
There you go. Find the happy medium.
I love purple cabbage.
Yeah.
Sam wants to know, Marijuana Man, do you have a source for Congolese seeds?
No. No such luck there, buddy.
Why, you got any?
No. I
I'll
have no
test them out for you.
sources. There, I have no sources.
Still going. So keep quiet. I see.
Well,
3 more
there's
questions.
yucking it up over
Important work going on over here.
there.
Kiwi J, what are you guys thinking about the best strains for hash production right now?
Well, something that I had the last time that was purple.
Yeah, huge. Here, let's get a shot of this stuff.
I'll tell you.
Let's show these guys this crazy stuff here.
Yeah, this stuff right here.
It's like insane trichomes. You got the bud count?
Yeah.
No, it's just like this one here. Mr. Hunter's in the house.
Can we
That's
see
a
any of
lot.
that? We can't really see that. can we?
Jacob Hunter's here.
What's up?
We could only get him on camera too.
We can kind of see that.
Well, this stuff.
It is
I,
so coated with trichomes. It's unreal.
Looks good.
We had some of that around the
What's
other
the
day.
name?
Well, I was
TJS?
rolling joints the other day with this
I
stuff.
really don't know. It's some kind of Kush, but it's got a really fruity, dank flavor. So I really couldn't say. I'm not sure.
I don't know. When I was rolling joints the last couple of days with it, my joint kept canoeing, and it would, which never happens. But I realized that it was just the amount of trichomes
That had nestled at the bottom of the
joint.
fold. Yeah.
And it was just like having a hash joint. And
Here, I wonder if we can get a shot of the amount of trichomes that come off it.
I let it canoe.
Do you got something with the black surface?
Devastator says looks like pink Kush.
No, it's definitely not the pink. I've had the pink quite a bit, but it's definitely not pink. If I had to guess, I've only tried it once, but I've tried this strain called Goddess, and I believe it's a Godbud crossed with Bubba or Purple Kush or something. And if I had to guess, it really reminded me of the Goddess. And I'm just trying to
We'll have a demonstration.
get a little glimpse of the trichomes that fell off of this as I did this little crumble here. Can we? Will that even?
Jacob
Will
had a
that zoom in
vision.
on it?
Yes. There is pretty good reflection off the shiny magazine.
Yeah, they get a good idea of the trichomes that fell off there just by cracking that bud in half.
But yes, look at
You
that.
know, so I would say that's probably a great hash producer.
Wow.
Here, let's see what happens when I do this. It all sticks to my hand. Look at that. No, you can't really see.
So yeah, I don't know. That one. Hope we were able to answer your question.
We have two more questions. They're both from XX Bobby XX. He says, I have 2 plants growing in Ontario. I've been in Nova Scotia for 4 weeks, and I doubt the wife will water them. How long can they go without water?
You're screwed. Hate to say it. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but
Yeah, they're not going to go that
I would suggest you really sweet talk the lady. Buy her some shoes. And
How long
whatever.
can they go without water?
Not well, what do you if you're growing in dirt and you've watered them really heavy, maybe
a week.
5-6 days. You know, no, and that's pushing it. That's assuming your roots are compromised.
Depends how big your pot is. Too.
Yeah, and if you're in hydro, you're screwed. Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
Sorry, dude.
And the other
Yeah,
one,
next time.
Bobby, what's with these news announcement that bud cures cancer? Are they
Yeah,
legit, or what is going on?
That's legit.
Oh yes, we've known that for a long time. But I don't know. Was there an announcement?
There's always something.
I don't suggest that. You know, you just don't take any doctor's advice and just strictly, hey, let's do this. But I think if you want to prevent something, start eating a little bit of hash every day. You know, there's no way around it. It definitely hinders the body's ability to, or a cell's ability to mutate, and in some cases it'll slow or actually retard mutated cells. So there's people that have had moles, and they put a little bit of cannabis extract, like a cannabis oil, on it, not to smoke, to put on your skin, and put a Band-Aid on there and keep that covered every day. You know, put a new dab on there every day, and their moles go away. So it in a lot of cases it does retard the mutation of the skin cells.
Well, and they've done major studies on the actual cannabis inhibiting properties.
Oh, yeah.
Cancer inhibiting properties of cannabis. One of them showed that brain tumor growth, and this was smoking cannabis, if I'm correct, cut it down by 50%, the growth of brain tumors.
Wow.
50%. That's a big study when they spent a lot of time on it. I believe it was Harvard.
Is that just to sell pothead cell phones?
Yeah. There you go.
Alrighty then. Well, I think we've come to the end of our broadcast day. And I sure wanted to thank you folks for tuning in around the planet. Good to have New Zealand and Tokyo in the house.
Portugal, Manitoba.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Everybody,
Who's in that chat?
Manitoba in the house.
Clinton. So, yeah, we're thrilled to do this every Wednesday. So tell your friends. We're happy to answer questions and see what we can do about having some fun and solving the problem of cannabis prohibition. So, thanks a lot to Al for being here. Let's go over to camera 2 and
Thanks
see
for having me.
Jeremiah and Marius in the house today. Appreciate
was
that
fun,
as
as
always. And I'm Marijuana Man, and see you next time. Peace and pot. Here's a little something for you to watch on the way out that happened at Jam Night a few weeks ago. It's called Buddy, Can You Spare a Dime by Sandra. Remember her?
Oh, yeah.
Sandra was here, popped in, never seen her again, but
This girl rocked.
we got her
I'm glad
we
she
got her on tape. So
caught on tape.
once again, thanks a lot for joining in. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, all right. Okay, here we go. What the city makes you do sometimes. Ain't it strange how the light affects your mind? Ain't it strange what the city makes you do sometimes? Ain't it strange how the city lights affect your mind? Don't it seem sometimes when you wake up in the morning, oh, that mistake now seems to pass you by? Don't it seem that the consequences bounce off these concrete walls? And I've been thinking that the sun don't shine where the half as it pours. In a state like the Saturday, say, brother, can't you tell? The man sitting at your left side, hitting on the elbow, pass at the bar. Say, brother, can't you tell me?